All right, we are back with another Jay's Checkpoint, and today we are going to be talking about when you have to show your ID to the police as a passenger during a traffic stop. Let me say that again. We're talking about when you have to produce your ID to a police officer when you are the passenger in a vehicle that has been pulled over for a traffic violation. So you're riding in the passenger seat, back seat, middle back seat, whatever the case, but you're not in the driver's seat. Car gets pulled over by the police for a traffic violation. How do we know it's a traffic violation? We really don't know. But the officer walks up and says, hey, I pulled you over for running a stop sign, broken tail light, weaving in and out of traffic, something of that nature. Your registration's out. These are all traffic violations. He gets the ID, he gets the driver's license from the driver. Now, we got covered in an earlier checkpoint that when you are operating a motor vehicle on a public roadway, you absolutely must produce your driver's license to the police officer. No ifs, ands, its, or buts about it. The police officers are officers or officials of the public roadway. The roadway is public. We are given a driver's license to drive on them by the state as a privilege. It's not actually a right. We signed a contract to be able to drive on those roadways, and a part of that contract is to produce your driver's license to a police officer upon request if you are the driver. If you are the passenger, you may not be required to produce that ID if the traffic stop is limited to just a traffic stop. So if you get pulled over for a broken tail light, you're in the passenger seat, officer says, let me see your ID. Who are you? You don't have to provide that information. So says the Supreme Court, and case law that has gone up to the Supreme Court to accompany that. So if it only remains a traffic violation that is under investigation, if the officer approaches the car and he sees a gun, smells marijuana, gets some information that the car might be stolen, or maybe even has to make an arrest out of the vehicle of somebody other than you, now he may have the right to ask for identification, especially if there is another investigation that has surfaced out of the traffic stop. So again, traffic violation, car gets pulled over. Now the officer smells marijuana, sees a gun, learns that somebody in the car might be wanted. One of these type of situations where the officer now can ask for identification. At this point, the investigation has risen from a traffic violation for which the driver is solely responsible for that violation to a criminal investigation. And when in a criminal investigation, the police have the right to detain all parties involved. Well, how do we know a criminal investigation is actually taking place? We don't know unless the officer communicates it. Now, what the officer may or may not communicate whether or not it's risen to a criminal investigation. He may not want to say, I smell weed, out of fear that everybody's just going to break him and run. He may just say, listen, a criminal investigation has arisen. There's a suspicion of contraband. He has to tell you something, especially if you don't want to produce the ID in order to detain you. At some point, you have to be communicated something before force is used on you, because if force is used on you and the violation has never risen past a traffic stop, and force is used on you for the sole purpose of the fact that you did not provide identification, not only is that excessive force, but one could possibly argue that that's assault. Now, I'm not an attorney. You may want to take that and consult that with your attorney if this has happened to you. Also, don't take anything that I've said and say, hey, this is exactly what happened to me. I now have grounds for a case based on what Jay said during this checkpoint, because every little detail changes the scenario of a case. So review your case with your attorney. But in generally speaking, in order for you to be forced to produce an identification on a traffic stop where nothing but a traffic violation has arisen in the investigation, you don't have to. You may decide that you want to. You may decide that it's easier to. And let's be honest here, the police have very tactical ways of making you feel like you actually have to produce something. Now, sometimes the traffic stop is a precursor stop. What does that mean? Meaning they really may be setting up on a drug house, or they really may be setting up on other higher crimes in the neighborhood and stopping cars for the purposes of maybe trying to find drugs or trying to find somebody that's wanted in the area. If that is the case, they need to state that in report. They need to communicate that to you. Now, if they never had any other reason to stop the car other than the traffic violation, they're just hoping to see if somebody has drugs or hoping to see if someone's wanted, then you still can't be forced to produce that ID until it has been stated that the nature of the investigation has been upgraded from a traffic violation for which the driver is solely responsible to a criminal investigation where the officer has the right to detain everyone. So we'll go into next checkpoint to talk about some of these other reasons that cars may be stopped and how you can prove whether you're stopped in the car or you just stop walking down the street. If you're truly a suspect that fit the description, or you thought that you might have been wanted, or if you truly might have been suspicious of involved in drug or criminal activity, how to prove or find ways to prove if that was actually the case or if they were lying. Now, next checkpoint is going to be very interesting. I encourage you to tune in because you're going to learn some things. But today, again, focus on this, and I'll say it one last time. If you are the passenger of a motor vehicle that is stopped for nothing but a traffic violation only, as the passenger, you are not required to produce your ID until that investigation has risen to something else. You may find it an easier choice to do. You may decide that you want to do that so that this officer who doesn't know that doesn't use some unnecessary force on you that unfortunately doesn't cost yet another person their lives. But this is information for you. All right. Thank you. This is Jay's Checkpoint, trying to just give you some information to keep you safe, keep you alive. One love.